Hey everybody, it's me, Joelle Terranova, hopefully your favorite realtor, here just to give you some information. I am just so excited. I've been researching and looking up stats and statistics, and the numbers all come down to one thing for me. If you have the ability to pay rent or paying rent, that's Patches in the background, and you have verifiable income, there is absolutely no reason why you cannot be a homeowner. So please, first allow me to introduce myself. My name is Joelle Terranova. I am a licensed realtor in multiple states. Absolutely have a love and passion for real estate. But what I love more than real estate is helping people be able to become homeowners when they were told that they could not own a home. That's what I love the most, is helping people be able to achieve home ownership. But in order to do that, y'all, you have to let go of the people who are afraid, who tell you it can't happen, who try to educate you on the market, and they've never sold a house. They don't have a real estate license. It's amazing to me how many real estate professionals there are nowadays telling people, oh, the market is going to do this, the market is going to do that. What market research do y'all know? That's what I'm trying to figure out, where people get their numbers. So when I'm saying to you, do your own research, but tune out the people who maybe have their own limitations. They haven't figured it out. And so they feel because they haven't figured it out, there's no way for it to be done. That is absolutely ludicrous. We live in the United States of America. We all have the right to own land. It is a right that has been bestowed to all of us. And if you're not taking advantage, it may be because there's certain things that you don't understand. So today what I want to do is explain to you how it is that if you're paying rent, or at least have the ability to pay rent, and you have verifiable income, meaning you work for yourself, you have a business, you work for someone else as an employee or independent contractor. Maybe you receive a check for governmental benefits like SSI, disability. You might receive child support. Those are all verifiable incomes, right? So as long as you have those things and the ability to pay rent or are currently paying rent, there's absolutely zero reason for you not to be a homeowner. Besides, you may have some fears, you may have some concerns. That's very, very logical. But how long are you going to allow those to keep you out of the game? That part to me does not make sense. So before I go into this, people like to know, who the heck is Joelle Terranova? Who are you? Why should I listen to you? What do you know? So again, I'm a licensed realtor for now over 13 years. I am an accredited buyer's representative. I am a seller's representative specialist. I am also a luxury home specialist. So if you ever see any videos that I post of luxury homes, I love luxury homes. Like, they're so much fun to look at. And I'm also the owner and the proud spokeswoman for an amazing company called Get House Ready. We've been operating Get House Ready now for several years, and that company is specifically to hold the hands of potential buyers who may be finding it difficult to get pre-approvals. I'm also a real estate coach, and I love, love, love to help fellow realtors help their clients be able to get pre-approved and show other realtors how they can advance when it comes to this real estate market and helping their clients get to where they need to be. So as you can see, I love everything real estate with the focus of helping people get through to the other side. Why is that? Because at one time I was you. At one time I was working a regular job, making great money. I was single. I had no kid. I had very little debt for me at the time. And buying a house almost felt like I was asking to take a rocket ship to the moon. Like, I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like, why is this so darn difficult? And the things that people said to me, the things that they did, the things that they didn't say, the advice that they didn't give, the bad advice that I got, really, really upset me. And I remember sitting at the closing table and I said to myself, actually, I wasn't talking to myself. I literally was praying. And I said, Lord, if I just get to the other side, I promise I'm going to do my due diligence to make this as easy as possible for other people, to help them understand how they can make things come together so that they can buy a home. This need not be rocket science, y'all. It's just a house. You're not asking to own the moon. You're just asking to own a little piece of land, which is your right to do, and be able to secure your family and build your wealth through that piece of land and that property and that real estate. So first things first is I want you to understand why for some buying a home is so big. It's like so monumental, so difficult. There's a reason for that. Now for some it's very easy. For some of us, not so easy. Why is that? You have to understand the why of that to dig through the layers so that you can get to your soft spot and achieve the goal. So here's why. Here in the United States of America, and really all throughout the world, but I just want to focus on America, we have things called marketplaces. Marketplace, right? So if you are in the market to buy a black dress, there are probably stores that you go to that you're like, you know what, I need a little black dress. I'm going on a date tonight. I think I'm going to look amazing. I got to go find a dress, right? So now you're in the market for a black dress. Now here's the thing with this black dress. You probably do not need financing. You probably already have enough money available to buy the dress. It's not going to be difficult for you to find the dress with so many retail stores available. The marketplace makes it very, very easy to be able to get it. You don't have to buy a black dress doesn't require a lot of government regulation and legalities. Usually when you go to buy your black dress, you don't have to negotiate. Now I know some of y'all are negotiators, but most of us just pick up the dress. We might try it on. If we like it, we go to the cashier, we check out, we got our dress, bada boom, bada bing, it's done. Some of us sit on our phone and go to Amazon and we find our black dress and we click buy. And in 2 days, it's at our house. Easy peasy. That's the marketplace when it comes to a little black dress. The marketplace when it comes to real estate, you all, can be a lot more complicated, especially if you don't have the cash. Now, there's people that have $250,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 cash. They can go in. They got to find the home that they like. There may be some negotiation. There may be some legalities, but they use their cash. They buy the house. It's a wrap. But for the rest of us that have to go through financing, those are the caveats or the extra layers to the real estate marketplace that can make it difficult or overwhelming if you don't know where to start. I have so many people say, I don't know where to start. I have realtors saying, like, I have all these clients and they have great incomes. I can't get them pre-approved. And they're being told, well, just pay off your bills and come back in a year. They pay off their bills and guess what? Their credit scores are even worse. They got bad advice. They didn't know exactly what to do. So the reason that buying a home can seem so confusing and complicating is because there's levels and layers to this. And you may need somebody to help take you layer by layer, slowly. Sorry, y'all, I got a phone call. You might need somebody to help take you layer by layer, slowly, one thing at a time. And usually where people get stuck is right at that first layer, which is obtaining financing if you don't have the money. Obtaining financing when you don't have that cash and you got some strikes against you. What are the strikes? Let's talk about them. First one, credit scores. I personally am so sick and tired of people feeling that they're second-class citizens because their credit scores may be lower. Y'all, some of y'all went through life. It may be a divorce. It may be a job loss. A lot of people got super sick through COVID and lost their jobs. It could be depression. It's called life. Going through life and not always making the best decisions, or sometimes having life thrown at you, will sometimes make that credit score go down, and it is not an indicator of whether you are worthy or not. Let me say that one again. Just because you may have lower credit scores does not make you any less worthy than anyone else that is a homeowner to be able to own a home. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. A lot of us were not educated on finance. We were not educated on credit scores. We were not educated on how to balance a checkbook. We were not educated on how to create a budget. For some of us, even the thought of those things is so overwhelming. But guess what? You pay your rent every month. If you're paying your rent every month, then that lets me know that you have the wherewithal and the ability to pay a mortgage every month. Let me say that again. If you have the ability to make sure that you pay your rent every month, then do not mistake yourself. Do not lie to yourself and say, I do not have the ability to pay a mortgage. And do not allow anyone else to tell you that either. It is not true. What is the difference between paying your rent every month and paying a mortgage every month? Somebody help me understand the difference. It's just you paying it to a different person. I put a post on my timeline today on Facebook. Take a look at it if you can. It says, either way, you're buying a house. You're paying for a house. You're either paying for your own house or you're paying for your landlord's house. Either way, it's happening. Which one do you think is in your best interest? Which one do you think is in your best interest? I think that of paying for your own home, because you're building your own wealth. You're building your own equity, in the walls of your home. Now, Tashwanda asked the question. She says, have you ever seen anyone get a home in Chapter 13 bankruptcy? The operative term there is in Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Now, have I seen them once they're out? Yes. But if they are actively in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, there's some special things that need to happen. Can it happen? Absolutely. Is it a layer? Absolutely. And that is why I say all the time that you have to, and not you per se, but yeah, you, myself, my team, we have to have the conversation. Some people want to text me and ask me, and I love the question. It's nothing on getting the question. I love the question. But the reason why we have to have a conversation is because Susie could have a situation, and Molly could have a situation, and Becky could have a situation, and they're all different situations. So we got to analyze the layers and say, here's the problem, here's the solution, this is how long the solution is going to take. Let me hand you all of this. This is my prescription. Take a look at it and see if this will help you. But no one can tell me that simply because you had to declare bankruptcy and you're paying rent every month, you have the ability to pay a mortgage. So Karen says, my rent for my apartment is a mortgage. I'm working on getting pre-approved so I can buy next year. That is awesome. Let me tell you all something. Credit scores need not be that difficult. If you have been working on your credit score for more than 90 days, there's a problem. It's almost like having a broken leg. and you keep saying, I'm trying to fix this broken leg myself, and I've been at it for a year now, and I just can't get it. Y'all, it doesn't take years, months, no more than 90 days. It doesn't take that long. In most cases, it really should be around the 30-day, 45-day mark, but it shouldn't take that long. You don't have to punish yourself. You don't have to go through a punishment because your credit scores are low. You don't have to go through a punishment because you had to file for bankruptcy. You don't have to go through a punishment because you got student loans. It's almost like we've conditioned ourselves that we have to get tapped on the hand because life happened. No, you just need to align. You need to align. So let's talk about it. That first layer, and thank you so much for commenting, for asking questions. I love that. Always feel free to ask questions. The only thing that I ask is let's be respectful. Let's get curious and not get defensive. Let's not be argumentative. Get curious. Ask the question. I love it. So I love the questions. So the first layer to this real estate marketplace, if you don't have cash in hand, is financing. And that's where most people get hung up. First thing is their scores sometimes are too low. I want you all to understand, taking care of credit scores and getting them to where they need to be should never take more than 90 days. If it's taking longer than 90 days, there's a problem. There's a definite problem. It should never take more than 90 days. And my team is happy to consult with you to help you understand exactly what needs to be done in your particular circumstance. That's called an analysis. An analysis costs you nothing. The other thing that I need you to understand is not all lenders are created equal. So just because Wells Fargo might have said that your scores are too low, PRMG might not say that. Another lending, a collab lending might not say that. Every lender is different. And one of the things that you want to do is align yourself with someone who has great relationships with different lenders. Because when they hear your story, they're going to be able to tell you, here's where I think we should go based on your scenario. Do you know that there are some lenders that will give you a pre-approval as low as a 500 credit score? Now, are those loans pretty? They are not pretty. They're not pretty. But can I tell you that sometimes we use a technique when our clients have low credit scores to get them the pre-approval on the not so pretty loan so that we can go house shopping. And while we're house shopping, we bring their scores up so that they now have a beautiful loan, a pretty loan, a great interest rate. So one layer of the financing that sometimes stumps people is credit score. Your credit score should never take more than 90 days to get to where you need them to be when it comes to getting a mortgage. So if you are someone who is in the credit repair space, please don't come at me talking about, no, it doesn't take that long. As a credit repair business owner myself, all of us have different objectives. My particular objective when someone comes to me for credit improvement scores is to get them to where they need to be to get a mortgage. It is a totally different credit rehab, credit fix. It is not to knock anybody who has a credit repair business and it takes them longer than 90 days. No knock. But my method is totally different. We don't do the dispute letters and things like that. We have a totally different method to get that credit report and those scores to where we need it to be to get someone pre-approved for a loan. That's why I say it need not take more than 90 days. Our method is totally different. The second layer when it comes to financing that trips some people up is something called DTI. DTI, debt to income ratio, where when the lender looks and sees how much money you make as opposed to the debt that you're carrying, the debt is higher than the income. You're constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul. Specifically, we see that when a person has high student loan debt. Guess what? There's a solution for that. That can be fixed. That can be fixed within a 30-day period. Not only can that be fixed to reduce the debt, but in doing that to reduce the debt in a 30-day period, we can also set you up for student loan forgiveness. Y'all, there's answers to all of this stuff. There's a solution to things. And I'm a person that loves to get a problem so I can find the solution. It's what I've been doing all these years. And it's exciting to me. And it's a super passion of mine. So when it comes to, if you've gone to a lender who says your debt to income ratio is too high, y'all, there's a solution for that. Especially if it is student loan debt, and especially if it is credit card debt. There is such an easy solution to that. So for student loan debt, everybody's solution is a little bit different. It's something we would have to talk about, but I can give you some generalities when it comes to that. Okay, so these are just generalities. But keep in mind the illustration that I used before. If I walk into the emergency room and I say my foot hurts, and you walk into the emergency room and say your foot hurts, we both have the same symptoms, but we could have totally different problems. I could have a broken toe, you could have gout. Same symptoms, our foot hurt, but it's totally different. That's why I'm very careful about saying specific solutions, because I know what people do. They think, oh, that's the solution for me. They go and try and they say, oh, it didn't work. Yeah, because, you had the foot pain, but your diagnosis was different and you took the wrong prescription. So there's ways to take the student loan debt, consolidate it down, and reduce it into one loan, which significantly brings down your DTI. When it comes to credit card debt, there's a way to take your credit card debt, bring it all down into one loan. So now your credit cards are free, your credit scores go up, but you might say, well, how the heck are we going to do that? Guess who has the ability to finance you and get you the money that you need? And that's something that we can do in-house ourselves. So whereas other people say that's impossible, it may be impossible for them because they haven't set up the resources. So Amanda weighed in. Thank you so much, Amanda, for your question. She said, how can a mortgage become possible after a job change? Great question, Amanda. So if you have changed jobs, let's say, and I'm just going to make up a scenario because there's different scenarios to answer this particular question. So I'm just going to talk about the general ones, but I would invite for us to have an in-depth conversation, because all lenders are not created equal. And it doesn't matter if you have a job change, as long as you have the income. Other lenders, if you have a job change, they want to see that you're in the same genre of work. So let's say you were the manager of a retail store. You were managing people and you found an opportunity that will allow you to make more money, but maybe it's not a retail store. Maybe now you've become an office manager at a doctor's office. I don't know, I'm making that up. That type of job change is considered to be in the same genre. Now, let's say you're a CDL truck driver, right? You've been driving truck for years. And all of a sudden you decide, I don't want to drive truck anymore. I want to be a real estate agent. That's a big change because a lot of truck drivers are considered employees, so they get a regular check. Whereas if you're a real estate agent, it's a totally different field, totally different method of getting paid. Most real estate agents get paid on commission. And so a lender might be a little bit nervous in that scenario to say, wow, like, how do we know that this person is going to thrive as a real estate agent when they've been a truck driver all this time? Now, again, there are some lenders, they're not worried about it. Not all lenders are created equal. So to answer your question, it is very possible to get a mortgage, even if you have changed jobs. You just need to address that layer and make sure that you're with the right lender who can allow that to happen. It is absolutely possible. In fact, I'm just trying to think quick. I do have a client that just happened, but he's not on Facebook. I want to see if there's a client where that recently happened. I know that there is. I just can't think of it. But if I think of the person, I'm going to tag them in this video and maybe they'd be willing to tell their story. Okay, so it's very possible. So going back to addressing the financing layer when it comes to real estate, there's many layers to real estate that can make it seem overwhelming. Most of us get stuck on the first layer, getting the money, because most of us don't have 200 to 500,000 just sitting in the bank. So that first layer of financing where people get stuck and then they say, I can't do it anymore. So we address the credit scores. We've addressed that there's a solution to debt to income ratio, whether it be student loan debt, whether it be credit card debt. The one thing that I strongly do not advise you to do, please, for the love of God, do not go out and buy a car before you buy a house. Some people do, but there's a way to go about doing that so you don't hurt yourself. So even if you have recently bought a car and it threw your debt to income ratios off, I still suggest let's have a conversation because there is a way around that. The link to see the video or the webinar on exactly how we function is included in this Go Live, but you can also click on that link and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody. I want to talk to Joelle. I'm happy to talk to you. My team is very, very experienced and very, very kind and friendly. They'll be able to help you as well. The last part that trips people up when it comes to financing, you all, is getting the down payment money. I'm in a group on Facebook and I've seen so many people saying, how in the world are you able to save up the money for the down payment? That gets a lot of people tripped up. There are some people that have no issue. They have the money saved. There are some people that do not. You all, there are down payment assistance programs. Feel free to go to Google and just type in down payment assistance programs in your state. See what you see. It's just that not all down payment assistance programs are created equal, and you need to understand them. There are some down payment assistance programs where it's limited funds and they can run out of money. There's some down payment assistance programs where you have to pay the money back. I like the down payment assistance programs where you don't have to pay the money back. Now, for those particular programs, it may tick your interest rate up a bit. Let me say that again. For some down payment assistance programs, it may tick your interest rate up a bit. But can I ask y'all a question? Would you rather pay 5 or 6% interest, or would you rather pay 100% interest? Sometimes we got to be careful the narrative that we're telling ourselves in our mind. Would you rather pay 6% or 100%? Hear me what I say to you. If you're paying rent right now, you're paying 100% interest. Don't worry about the rates. The rate as it currently is way less than the rate you're paying now if you're paying rent. I would much rather pay 5 or 6% than 100%. I recently had an open house at a home that I was selling, and the gentleman came in and he told me, do you know when I bought my first house, he said my interest rate was 20%. And this is somebody, y'all, who's an oncologist, a doctor. When he bought his first house, 20%. I forget the year, but it was in the 2000s when he bought his first house. So at least it was in this century. 20%. So don't get tripped up on everything that you're hearing and saying, or that other people are saying, the things that you're hearing other people say. That's what I meant to say. Don't allow their fears and limitations to become your fears and limitations. I am so happy to have the conversation with you, to break down the layers. Sometimes when somebody shows you something and opens your eyes to something, you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that we could do that. Nobody ever told me There's so many things that can be done. Thank you so much for listening in. If you're here on the replay, please make sure to let me know that you listen in, just because I want to thank you. If you think that this information is valuable and can help somebody, please share, heart, like the video. If you have questions, ask the questions. Get curious. If you want to end up in my inbox, feel free, go right ahead. I'll be sure to respond back and answer any of your questions that you may have. It is my goal for this year to get as many people in houses as humanly possible, because we need it. We need to increase our wealth. We need to increase our understanding. We need to increase our financial education so that we can help future generations be able to excel. Thank you all so much. I look forward to talking to each and every one of you very, very soon.